Hey y'all, it's Destiny. This is my channel, Destiny DIY and Designs. In this video, I'm going to show you how I make these lanyards, perfect for teachers, perfect for anyone that has to wear a lanyard to work every day. I hope you feel inspired by this project and I hope you decide to make some for yourself. All right, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out what font I want to use. This is also personal preference. These are a gift, so I'm not gonna ask the people, what fonts they want because that would kind of defeat the purpose of it being a gift. So I'm just gonna pick whatever I feel looks the best. Okay, so at this point I've settled on a font. Now I'm just going to resize them to make sure they're the right size. I've already pre-sized my circle to the size of the acrylic round that I'm going to be using on my lanyard. This is just a template that I keep on my Cricut and my cloud. I've got everything sized right. Now I'm going to recolor them so that they are on the same mat. And then I'm going to send them to my mat and get everything ready to be cut out. Here I'm just using my Cricut mat to measure the right amount of vinyl. I'm going to cut that vinyl out, place it on the mat, and then make sure that my vinyl decal is positioned correctly inside of Cricut design space so that the entire decal is cut out. You don't want it to be too close to the white line because you risk the chance that the machine may not be able to cut the full decal. All right, so I've got everything lined up the way I need it to be. Now I'm going to set up my Cricut machine. I'm using the Joy. I love my Cricut Joy. It hooks up through Wi-Fi, so it's super simple, super easy, very beginner friendly. Now I'm going to get everything ready to be sent to the machine, lining everything up and telling it to go. Okay, now that my decal is done cutting, I'm going to remove my Joy from the workspace. I'm going to take my vinyl off the mat, replace the clear protective coating and get that out of the way. Weed the vinyl, make sure you get all the little parts, and then I'm going to get all of the materials needed to make the lanyard on my workspace so that I can begin. Okay, so now I'm going to discuss all of the materials I use to make the lanyards. I'm also going to list them below in the description box. I use clasps, 2-inch acrylic rounds with holes at the top and bottom. I use rings and hooks for your lanyard to actually put your ID on it. I only use silicone beads from ABC Bead Supply Company. I have some transfer tape there. It's about 2 inches around. I just use it for all of my lanyard designs. I also use the plastic that clothes tags are placed on clothes with in stores. I bend it and help weed my beads onto my lanyard. I also have 2 little beads that I got from Michael's that are about the size or the width of my nylon cord, so that when I tie the knot on my lanyard, the bead kind of is there to make sure that the clasps don't slip off so everything stays secure. I use a lanyard to help measure the length of the lanyards, and I also use a lighter, which is not on my workspace yet, but you'll see it in the future. All right, so first you want to put on your beads for your lanyard. I'm using my little plastic piece from my piece of clothing that I bought to help me weed my beads onto the lanyard. And after I do that, I'm going to use my acrylic round to kind of secure the beads so they don't slide off. Once you get your beads on your lanyard, you want to pull it tight, and you also want to make sure that the ends of your lanyard are as straight as possible. It'll just help you in the future. All right, so now I'm gonna start placing my clasps and the other bead that I use onto my lanyard. You wanna put your clasps on first and make sure that you have one of each. And then you want to put your beads on. After you put your beads on, you're gonna tie yourself a knot. After you tie yourself a knot, you use the lighter to melt the end of the nylon plastic round so that the knot is kind of melted together to help ensure that things won't fall apart. But you also have the bead there to kind of help with that as well. Okay, so at this point, I now need to take my lanyard apart so that I can place the decal on the acrylic round. So I'm taking it apart here. And the next thing I'm going to do is take off the protective casing on the acrylic round so that I can place the decal on the acrylic round. And then I'm going to seal the vinyl with UV resin. If you want to skip the step of putting your entire lanyard together, you can do that. I just like to put everything together so that I can see what I'm working with, so that I can make sure that no beads are flying all over the place or rolling off my table, and it just helps me just keep everything straight. But you can definitely skip that part because it's like putting something together to take it apart. I get how it can be a little redundant, but it just helps me keep things straight. All right, when you are placing your vinyl on your acrylic round, you want to make sure that the letter is centered with the dots on the acrylic round. Remember I said that there are two dots at the top and the bottom. You want to make sure that your letter is centered, or if you're into the whole off-centered thing, that's completely up to you, but I like for them to be centered. You also see that I'm trying really hard not to touch the lanyard to avoid having to, excuse me, not the lanyard. I'm avoiding touching the acrylic round so that I can avoid having to clean the acrylic round before I put the resin on. So before you put on your UV resin, you want to make sure that your vinyl is applied very, very flat. You want to make sure you get out any air bubbles if you can. In a minute, you'll see me set up my UV light. I got it from Michael's. It was actually the last one in the store. I had already ordered one from Amazon, but it never showed up, so I just canceled it and got a refund. And the next day, I found this one in Michael's, so I was like, it's meant to be. All right, so I'm also using UV resin from Michael's. You want to apply a generous amount of UV resin, but not too much. Remember that you can always add more, but you can't really take it away. You don't want it to overflow because then you'll have a mess, and I don't want that for you. You want to use something like a silicone stir stick or a popsicle stick like you see me using here to spread the to spread the UV resin around. This is sped up. I'm moving way slower than this. You want to move slow so that you can avoid air bubbles. If you get air bubbles, they'll be really hard to pop. Well, they won't be really hard to pop, but you'll have to work hard to pop them before you cure your resin, because once you cure it, your bubbles are going to be there, and in my opinion, bubbles kind of ruin the design. So use your stir stick or your popsicle stick to make sure the resin is spread evenly over your acrylic surface, and you want to make sure you get resin above the little circles at the top and bottom so that the whole round is covered. Then you're gonna pop whatever little bubbles you do have with a lighter and then place it under your UV light. I'm gonna start on my second round here at the same time, but you see I'm using my hand as a shield. If that UV light shone or got onto the round that I'm currently working on, it will be curing while I'm working, and you don't want that. So if you decide to do what I'm doing, make sure you shield your workspace, like the round you're currently working on, from the light so that it doesn't cure while you're working. Okay, got everything all cured up. Remember, there is a protective casing on the front and the back of the round. I still have my protective casing on the back. I'm going to put my ring onto my acrylic round from the back so that I don't scratch the front. That's why I like to keep it on there. And then I'm going to reassemble the entire lanyard, and then I'll take off the protective casing from the back. Make sure everything's even and lined up, and that is it. Super easy, super simple, very sweet gift to give to someone you care about. Thank you for watching. Remember, if I can make it, you can make it. I wish you the best and have a super blessed day. Bye, guys.